Welcome, everybody. I want to appreciate you guys for checking in with Teaching for the Culture. And today's episode is talking about 15 apps that all parents should know. And I know that some parents might not have the availability to watch this exactly at 5 p.m., but I'm going to leave it on my page so that way parents can get involved and check this out later. This is action packed. I'm just going to get to the meat and potatoes of this. And hopefully, this empowers you guys to check what is on your children's cell phones. It is a war with these cell phones and with social media and the way that school systems are inundated with bullying and issues. And most of them actually stem from the cell phone. So I want to start with the first app. And let me get my agenda up here. Okay. So the first one is Instagram. Now, the thing with Instagram is that there are students that actually create multiple Instagram accounts. So you might actually follow your child's Instagram account, but children also create another account. It's called a spam account. And this is where they post, things anonymously, inconspicuously that a lot of people don't see, but they're memes. Sometimes they're bullying other children, and it's just really dangerous and toxic. So you need to make sure that your child doesn't have multiple social media accounts. In addition to Instagram, in the public school system, there are children that like to share their information. Like they like to share their login information with a child. Let me tell you something. We have had a number of incidences where children have posted something under someone else's account, and that child got in trouble because that account was registered to them. So when I was teaching business technology, I would teach students that you should not share out your login information because it does put you at a risk if a child or friend or whoever logs in under your account and is posting as if it's you. So with Instagram, we have to be careful of the spam pages and the pages that they create on the side to bully. They also create little groups in Instagram and they get into groups at school. You can also check the local news. Recently here in Tampa, the news stations actually reported that there were several Instagram pages that was dedicated to bullying. So much so that children would actually, compile different videos and put music behind it. And it became like this thing that they posted to become viral. In addition to that, they actually posted on, World Star Hip Hop and etc. So we need to be very careful with what our students are posting. In addition, making sure that they are not sharing those login details that they can then, post anything. And a lot of cases, students are sharing that information and they're posting stuff pretending to be someone else. And this is where the bullying happens and the confusion comes from just due to that fact. Okay. So the next one is Calculator Plus. Calculator Plus comes in all different apps and forms, and the names change. So this is what I'm going to tell you about this particular app. So these apps function like a calculator. If you input a secret PIN, it will then unlock. And when it unlocks, this is when you can hide videos and pictures into a separate folder that is not in your gallery or your camera roll. So this is where students like to hide images that are not appropriate for the camera roll. So if you were to click on photos and you were to just kind of scroll through your child's pictures that's on their phone, you would not be able to see it if they have the Calculator Plus app or app that works in that same way. So what I would look for is if you are going through your child's phone, if you have a question on the app, I would actually Google the app and see what the intentions of the app, looking at the age requirements of the app before you allow your child to continue to use it, because all of that is clearly marked and you can just literally use the internet and Google search that. So the problem with Calculator Plus, again, is extremely dangerous, knowing that we don't even know what Calculator Plus, like what they do with the data or the photos. So we basically don't even know, like if there's children that are, saving nudes from each other, they're saving child pornography in this app. And I don't know like what happens with that data. And that's a good question that needs to be answered. But it's really important that you check for these apps. They look, like I said, they look very similar to a functioning calculator, except for when you enter a certain PIN number, it unlocks, and then you're able to see pictures, videos, and all of those things that is not normally in the camera roll. So the next app is called YOLO Q&A, and I am not going through the agenda. Boom, there we go. So YOLO Q&A, it's an add-on with Snapchat, okay? And so I'm going to talk about Snapchat a little later. But YOLO is one of those apps where you can actually post anonymously. And so you can have conversations with people. And when you have these anonymous apps, even adults can attest to this, it breeds for cyberbullying and it breeds for toxicity. So a lot of people feel empowered when it's anonymous and they can't be held accountable for the things that they say. And I actually did like a little search on the internet, and you could see where there would be grown men sending anonymous questions to young kids, asking them what they have on. And so the kids don't know exactly, who is communicating with them. And the kids feel like, oh, well, someone asked me the question, I have to answer it. Little do they know that they could be talking to a grown man, grown woman, a pedophile or some type of threat to them. So it's really important that you be mindful with this particular app and what type of questions that your child is receiving. Also note, and I'll say it again, but Snapchat is for 13 and up. So there should be no children that have this app and they are in elementary school. So we need to have a talk about that. So parents, if you have an elementary school child and they have a Snapchat, we need to talk about it. Snapchat, the age requirement is 13 and up in order to create an account. And if they do create an account with Snapchat and they're not 13 years old, that means that they did not tell the truth on how old they are and did not tell the truth on their birth date. Okay. So let me go to the next item, and we have Kik. So Kik is a platform to where you can communicate with anybody. It gives you unlimited access. You do not need to have a cell phone to use this app. There's some children that do not have access to a cell phone, but they do have access to a tablet that is connected to the App Store. So theoretically, your child could be texting whoever using a tablet and not using a cell phone. And so that's the misconceptions a lot of time. Well, my child doesn't have a cell phone. They can't text anybody. Well, there are apps out here just like Kik that are used to where you can download the app and you can communicate with anyone, anywhere, anytime using Wi-Fi. You do not have to have cell phone service in order to communicate with someone. And so they have an update with Kik that they didn't have before, but basically they have groups. And it's kind of like back in the day when AOL started to become popular and then they created chat rooms. Well, Kik is kind of similar to the AOL chat room where basically you can communicate with strangers. This is a very dangerous place for children, especially if you don't know who or what they're communicating with. There are so many cases of, trafficking, and there's so many cases of where child pornography is going viral, this, that, and the third. And these cell phones have made it easier for pedophiles to get access to children. And so it's very mindful that you are aware of who is communicating with your children, because you communicating with your children and who is communicating to your children is very important. Okay. So that's Kik. So the next one is GroupMe, which operates one and the same, kind of like Kik, where it's a group collaborative message. So here's the downfall of GroupMe and the reason why I listed it for you to look for. There are students that create school groups using GroupMe. And so in this group that they have, they cyberbully each other. And they have a group that's dedicated for that particular school, and they invite kids at that school to add to this group. And it's a secret underground group. And unless you know the child or you have access to the phone, no one really knows. So this is why teachers sometimes are confused as to how information gets disseminated so quickly of an incident that happened, say, in another classroom. It's because they have a group messaging system where they're actually talking to everyone besides the adults. So this GroupMe is something that needs to be talked about ASAP. And the content that's in the groups, they are used to bully children, harass children. They take pictures of other children at school and they do like a rating, like hot or not. And basically it's like, if you're cute, to that student group, then you're cool. And if you're quote unquote ugly, as how they rate it, you get bullied. And so this is something that's very toxic and is very harmful for children. So we need to be careful of these GroupMe groups, and you need to check every single app on your child's phone to see what the communications is, because these groups perpetuate bullying, and they continue this cycle over and over again. So we really need to be mindful of that. Okay. It brings me to Snapchat. Now, Snapchat is something that almost everyone has access to. A lot of people use Snapchat, and even adults use Snapchat. I'm going to reiterate again that the minimum age is 13 years old. So there should be no reason why elementary school children have this app. So there was a story, and I'm going to actually put it on here, where a boy drove over 200 miles to live with a stranger he met on Snapchat. This happened in September of this year. Children are being targeted by pedophiles and just craziness. And the reason why he wasn't able to meet the guy was because he lost GPS signal, and he could not re-enter the address because the Snapchat message went away, which is a feature of Snapchat. So if you haven't used Snapchat, basically, if you communicate through Snapchat, over time, the messages disappear. So unless you manually hold it and save it. So a lot of kids use Snapchat because it doesn't provide receipts. And if you try to screenshot it, you are notified. However, what I told my kids is that it doesn't preclude someone from taking a picture of a picture. So for example, I have this cell phone right here. Okay. And if I have something on Snapchat, it doesn't change the fact that another child or someone could take a picture of this. You would not be notified that a screenshot was taken due to the fact that someone else took a picture of it using their phone. So a lot of children think that, oh, well, if I post it on Snapchat, it's going to go away, when there's people who actually screen record or take videos or take pictures of what happened, and the child's not even notified of that. So that's why it's really, really concerning that children know what's right and what's wrong, and what not to do. Okay. And what not to show and what not to express on social media, because it can come back. And like I said, the internet never forgets. And that's always what I tell my children. So we're going to go to the next app. Okay. The next app is Ask FM. And it's very similar to the yellow app that I was talking about that links with Snapchat, but Ask FM is just by itself. Okay. So it is a 13 years old minimum requirement. And it basically allows people to ask random questions anonymously. I seen a screenshot where a student, he was 11 years old, and he was asked if he was a virgin, and these are not the type of sexualized conversations that our children need to have on the internet. And who's to say that child knew what that meant? So guess what they're going to do? They're going to Google what's a virgin on the internet, because that's how they're going to find their answers. And we don't know what results that child clicked on to figure out the answer. Right. So it's very concerning. So we need to make sure that we're watching the apps and what people are asking our children, because there are some people who get on these apps to pray for children and ask children, oh, what you wearing, what you got on. And it's just sick and disgusting, and it's going unaccounted for because it's anonymously. And the only way that, it could be uncovered is if you go through the legal proceedings and you search through the IP address and you're trying to take legal action. But if you just ask FM who this person is, they're not going to tell you unless it's a subpoena. So you have no idea who has contact with your children or not. And that's the most dangerous part, because you don't know what people in the internet are asking your children. And then if your children feel compelled to answer these questions, they could literally fall right into this trap. So we have to be careful. So the next app I want to talk to you about is something that needs immediate attention, and it's called Monkey. Now, if you go ahead and Google Monkey on YouTube, you will see a whole bunch of videos of different challenges that people ask children to do on Monkey. Monkey, the app, is the age restriction is 17 years age and older. So why any child that's not in high school has this app is beyond me. But basically what this app does, it taps into the front facing camera of your webcam of your phone, and it connects you with strangers online. There's algorithm that connects you with all different type of people. So if you lied and you said that you're 18 and you're really 12 years old, you could be connected with a 40-year-old man or woman. So it's really important that we be mindful of these apps. So Monkey allows you to video chat with random strangers. And if you check on YouTube, you will see grown men asking girls to twerk on camera. It's on YouTube, folks. It's all right there. You can search it yourself. Okay. But on YouTube, there's a video that I watched while I was doing my investigations on this and to see, how much is this a trend? But there are thousands videos that have millions of views of grown men asking women to twerk and young girls to twerk on Monkey. And so you would be shocked and surprised at some of these YouTube videos. And the fact that these people actually recorded and then posted on YouTube without knowledge or consent is also another problem, because your child could have been on one of these videos and are now posted on YouTube. And again, the internet never forgets. So it's really important that if your child has Monkey, first of all, if they're not 17 years of age and older, that app needs to go, because it's literally connecting your child with all these different types of strangers in the world that could be pedophiles, anyone that's trying to attack your child. And they say some inappropriate things. Like I said, go on YouTube. You can look at yourself and look up Monkey challenges and see all the results that pop up, and look at how many views these videos have. They want to do this for views and, to be viral and for clout and all of those things. So it's really important that you watch that. And if your child has the Monkey app, it has to go. It is very dangerous to connect via video with all these different type of strangers, and you have no idea who your child is communicating with. So the next one is Tinder. And then there is a teen Tinder. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's called Spot a Friend. So most of us already know how Tinder works. You connect with different random people and you could swipe left or right based on how you like about them. Well, Tinder is 18 and up. There are children on Tinder, and there are children that are meeting older adults on Tinder. So for example, there was a 13-year-old girl who had a interview on the news, and she had the Tinder app, and she was connected to someone that was 18 years old. And the 18-year-old was trying to meet up with the 13-year-old so that they can be intimate with each other. This is a serious problem. So Tinder is bad, but then they created an app that is for teens. And it's called Spot a Friend. It works exactly the same as Tinder, but it's targeted to teens. Now, the discrepancy, though, is that when I looked at the developer notes, it said that it was for 17 plus. But then in the description, it said that it was for kids as young as 13 to 19. I don't want my 13-year-old daughter or son to be interacting with someone that's 19 years old on the internet with this type of dating type of app. And the whole intention with Tinder is to connect with people, to hook up with people, that type of thing. So I definitely don't want my child on Spot a Friend. They don't need to be meeting strangers on the internet, and they definitely don't need to be on Tinder because they're not of age. All right. The next app that a lot of people are not talking about that I want to bring up is any VPN proxy app. So what's VPN proxy app? Let me tell you this. You think that when you send your child to school with a device that they can connect to the school Wi-Fi and then they'll only have access to those firewalls, right? Theoretically, we think that, but that's not the case anymore. We have VPN proxy apps that are so many different names that I can't just even identify, but most of them use the name VPN. okay, or proxy. This is what you want to look for, okay? And again, if you don't know, just Google it and they'll tell you, for the developer, they're required to be transparent as far as what the app does and the parental controls and all of those type of things. They're required to publish that in the App Store and the Google Play Store. So you can literally Google it and you can find the answer of what that app is and what that app does. So this app actually allows students to actually bypass the firewall of the Wi-Fi network, and they're able to get access to the internet, like free reign. So this is what kids connect to when they're at school. They connect to the school Wi-Fi, and then they use a VPN proxy app to allow them to connect to Snapchat, text messages, even to the point where, kids are actually on Pornhub at school. That's real. Okay. That's real life. This is not, this is not fabricated. It's real. And so you don't want your child to be exposed to that. And there's children that will, put in the VPN app and they'll enable the VPN app, and then they're able to watch and do whatever it is right on the school Wi-Fi. So it's not even data that they're using. So sometimes parents actually will cut off a child's data when they get to school. Well, guess what? They just connect right to the school Wi-Fi. They enable the VPN proxy app, and boom, unlimited access to the internet, no sweat, and no one even knows. So many school districts actually try to block these proxies, but because of the high number of proxy apps coming and the way that they randomize the IP address, it's like an impossible mission for the school district to ban and block all of those. So VPN proxies are not going away. They're going to remain there, but we also need to be careful, because if we use those type of apps in the school setting, again, one, it could interfere with the school network and create hacks. And then the second thing is that it does create where students have unlimited access while they're on the school Wi-Fi, which is completely throwing off the intentions of the bring your own device, policy. So the next app is TikTok. So TikTok is very, very popular, and the minimum age of TikTok is 13 years old. Again, not sure why we have students in elementary school that is dancing and doing whatever on TikTok, but we need to be careful of the type of dances and what is happening on TikTok. There are children that are twerking on TikTok. There's children that are, smoking weed and doing drugs on TikTok, and they are young children. So we need to be careful of the videos that are posted on TikTok. Also be mindful of the people that are following your children on TikTok, and also who your children are following. It is very important to look at that. And so if your elementary school child has TikTok, that means, again, that they fraudulently entered a birth date that's not theirs in order to override the system. There is no age verification or anything. So TikTok is something where, it's an app. But again, if you guys want to be a sex predator, all you have to do is go to these apps that the children are on, and you have literally full access to them. And sometimes you can write to them anonymously, and they don't even know who they're communicating with. And that right there is the most scariest part. And this is why social media is just going rampant. We have the high number of children that are just going missing. We have children that are experiencing sexual trauma. We have students that are literally linking up with strangers. And I mean, a kid literally stole his dad's car and drove 200 miles to live with a man that he met on Snapchat. If this doesn't alarm you guys on the dangers of these devices and social media, I don't know what else I can do. I'm ringing the bell here. Parents, you own these phones. These are your devices. You need to make sure who your children are communicating with, because it's dangerous out here. It is the dark web, and children are being attacked through social media, not even from just children at the school, but even adults and predators. The next one is YouTube. So the news had reported the Momo challenge, and they got all people wild up about, well, what's happening on YouTube? The Momo challenge just took the ice in. It went viral, and everyone wanted to spin with it. But let me tell you, before the Momo challenge, it was the shoot 'em up challenge. It was all these it was all these other challenges out here that kids did because it was posted on social media. Just like how you had the girl who licked the ice cream at Walmart and put it back in the freezer and walked away and then posted it on social media. They wanted to do that for likes. They wanted to do that for validation, because likes is validation for children now. So this is why kids are concerned with how many followers they have and how many likes they have, is because they see that in this world, that is what matters. Whatever priorities that we have on this system and on likes, we have to stop it. In adults, we have to do that too. And so we have to stop validating things based on likes. And that's exactly what our children are doing. So you'll see a video that go viral on YouTube, and then you'll see other videos that pop up instantly right after that. So after that incident with the girl who went viral and was plastered all over the news for licking ice cream, you then see more people going to lick ice cream, to the point where, you know, manufacturers of ice creams, of the ice cream makers, had to change the way that they did the lids just because of this. And who's to say that people wasn't doing this before it was on social media? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where YouTube, you have to look at the content that your children are watching. There are some cartoons that are out there that are targeted to children, but their content is not targeted for children. They're targeted to adults. They have like these dub cartoons where it looks like cartoons if you're looking at the screen, but if you're not listening to it, they're cussing, doing all types of things, saying little rowdy stuff. It is bad. So you have to not only watch what they're seeing, but also listen to what they're saying too, because sometimes the videos look like cartoons and they sound like cartoons, but they really talking about some explicit stuff in the cartoons. Okay. So parents, look at the watch history of what your children are watching on YouTube. Talk about it. Figure out why it is that they watch it. Why do they like this content? What value did they get out of this content? Because I'm telling you, some of the content on YouTube, even though they have YouTube Kids, that whole platform is managed by humans. Humans make mistakes and there's oversight. And then you have people that will say, oh, well, it's my First Amendment right. I should be able to post this on YouTube, although it's damaging and hurting people. So parents, please be mindful of what's on YouTube and what your children are watching on YouTube, because it is out of control. Okay. The next app is called Meet Me. Meet Me is an app that is rated 17 and up, but kids have it. And this allows them to connect with strangers and to meet up. This app actually connects to the child's GPS, and it actually will geo-track your child and see who they're in the network with, and they could connect with someone that's near them. If that is not dangerous, I don't know what else is. So this app is tracking your children, their location, and is notifying other people that your child is near them, so that you can connect with them. So these apps got to go. These apps are using GPS. They are tracking your children, and your children shouldn't even have the app because it's 17 and up. So these data companies are ranking. They are not only getting data from adults, but they're getting data from children, and they are making money off of this data. Like I said, they can send pictures back and forth. And if it's, you know, an explicit picture of a child, that's child pornography that is stored somewhere in a cloud that can be disseminated everywhere else. When a picture reached the cloud, we don't know where that picture is stored. We have no idea. We just know that it's saved somewhere. But who's to say that there's a hacker out here that knows how to get access to cloud information, which they have, and are able to export pictures. Now they have pictures of your child in the most vulnerable state, and they taking a picture to send it to somebody for whatever reason that they decide to do that. So it's very dangerous. So the next app is called Holla. Holla is similar to Monkey, and it connects people with strangers through video. So you can literally use the app, hit the button, and it pops up. Your camera pops up so it can see your face and your surroundings, and then it connects you with a stranger and you can see their face and their surroundings. There was an incident that happened on this app where there was a man who was doing inappropriate things to his body, and children were exposed to that. And so this is why it's really important, parents, that your children should not be connecting with strangers through video chat. You don't know the intentions of these people. And your children think, oh, it's fun, I get to connect with all these different people in the world. But guess what? Your children need to learn that they cannot connect with all these different energies in the world, because it could be dangerous for them. It could inflict trauma on them, and it could hurt them. And so this app also enables location tracking. So you could be paired with someone that lives near you too. So also another feature in this app, and it works similar to Tinder, is you can swipe on who is near you to connect with you. So again, if your child has this app and they have their picture up there, and then someone older is notified that, you know, this is your child, and they look at the picture, guess what? They now know the area of where your child is because the location tracking is on. In order to start this app, all you need is a phone number. There's no age verification, nothing. They, you know, once you put in your phone number, you're good to go. You have this account, and that's it. So it's a problem. It's a problem. Okay. And last but not least, we have the Vault app. Okay. This app basically stores anything that you don't want to be found. So similar to the calculator app, it's basically a hidden channel on the phone that if you were to like try to look for it, the app even has a feature to where you can set an additional passcode to go through it too. So if a child wanted to save some pictures that was inappropriate or whatever, they can save it into the Vault, and they can lock the Vault with a different password. That's a different password from the phone password. And so that way, you know, they have to enter a certain password to get access to it. It's an app where you can, again, store screenshots, you can store videos, you can store pictures. So a lot of times people do stuff on Instagram, and they will go ahead and screen record it, and then they'll hide it in a Vault. Okay. And so the Vault, it will not appear in your camera roll. So if you are a parent trying to slide through their pictures to see what type of pictures they've been taking, or you go through the delete folder and you're trying to figure that out, you know, again, it's just kind of weird for them to have that app. Like, what are you hiding? So these are the type of apps you want to look for. There are various Vault apps, and they all have the same thing. So again, if you see an app and you're unsure about, you definitely need to go to Google, because the app developers are supposed to provide information on what the app does, the age requirements, and everything when they publish it to the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Okay. So I say all of this to say, and I'm gonna put this up here, some action items. So action items for parents, number one, is to discuss what is and what isn't appropriate. So we need to have some real intentional conversations with children to make sure that they know how to use the internet safely and how to effectively be in the internet space. Because a lot of children think that, you know, oh, well, I want to be, you know, open. I want to tell my truth on the internet, and I want to just speak my truth. Well, that can come at a price. Just like when students take pictures at the bus stop and they have like their polo shirt on from school and it has a school logo. Well, guess what? You now have put a picture up on the internet that is geotagged with your bus and the school. So now a predator knows what school you go to, where's your bus stop, and then they can geotag it to figure out what time. And they can even then do a search based on where you live at, what bus number you ride, what bus you on, and what time does it pick up and what time it drops off. It does not take that hard for somebody to steal a child. This is why children are going missing. And it's because they're posting private information on social media thinking that it's harmless, that no one will want to harm them. But there's people out here that want to harm your children. The second thing is to limit screen time. Parents, do not have your children have their phone late night and you don't know who they talking to late night. Children come home exhausted. They come to school exhausted because they've been on the phone watching YouTube and texting and doing all these type of things at night. You need to make sure that you limit the screen time that your children have. So you need to create a rule in your house that everyone is going to, well, not everyone, but all the children are going to shut their phone off at a certain time and they're going to turn their phones in. Your child should not have their phone at 10 o'clock at night just buzzing and they communicating with people when they need to go to sleep. So limit the screen time that your children have. The next one is to monitor kids' phone activity. You need to be searching through the internet search history that's on the phone. You need to be searching the apps that they use and that they download, and what that app does and what they are doing in those apps. There are a lot of apps that are out here that are not being checked, and this is why children are not being held accountable. And these apps, again, many of them perpetuate bullying and continue to go unaddressed because a lot of people are not tapping into these apps to figure out what is going on. But there are groups that children create on apps to bully each other, to torment each other, to harass each other, and to be sexting each other in these apps. It is a real thing. This is not made up. So it's really important that you really look at the phone. I'll talk about that last. Have login details and passwords. So you're gonna get pushback from your child. Oh, you don't trust me. You don't trust me. Okay, I trust you, but I don't trust them. You shouldn't be trusting your child with all these different strangers. Just no, absolutely not. So you need to make sure that you have the login information for your child's accounts, all of them. And they have spam accounts that they post different stuff in. You need all those passwords. And they also need to make sure that they're not sharing those passwords. Because again, like I said, I have seen where students have gotten in trouble because they've shared their login information with someone else. And that person used the account as if they was that other person. And that other person got in trouble based on what that person did, if that all makes sense. So please do not have your children share information, login information, so their friends can have access to their Instagram or their Snapchat or any account. Because if they do something that they're not supposed to do on this app, it's going to be a problem. So the last one is to prohibit downloading apps without consent. This is the key. Okay. So with that being said, you're going to have, so if you have an iPhone device, there is things that you can do to where you can prohibit your children from downloading apps without your permission. You can require a password every time an app is downloaded, and you can set the password that your child doesn't know. So that way they're not downloading apps that you don't want them to have access to. Okay. So you can do that with Apple. With Google, when Google sets up the phone, a lot of times students will just set up their own Gmail account and make up their own Gmail account, and that's their phone, which is another problem because phones get stolen in school and they don't have the right apps installed to track their phone to make sure. And that's going to be a whole nother segment that I'm going to do about how to protect your child's phone and what to do on that, just because there is a trend of phones being stolen at school and you can't find it because there are things that are not installed and that you could track the phone. Okay. So I'm going to help you track the phone and make sure that your child's phone is not stolen at school. Okay. But Apple, there's a way that you can prohibit downloads with a password. Again, is Google. Okay. And then same thing with Android devices. Okay. You can set a password, set a PIN, so that way no one is downloading apps without your knowledge or consent. And that will alleviate all of these other problems. Now, the one thing that I want to talk to you about is with Apple in particular, and the problem that we're having with Apple devices that teachers are having problems with. So my school last year, there was a lot of students that had Apple devices. And so when there would be fight videos recorded, they didn't send it through apps that could be tracked by IP address. What they did is they used AirDrop. And for those of you that don't know AirDrop, I'm just going to briefly explain to what it is. So it's like a hub, and you're near a phone. Your phone then connects to that other phone, and you can wirelessly send data back and forth to each other without sending it through text message or through another app. It's just a virtual transfer of data. Okay. The problem with that is that there has been sex videos that have been shared through AirDrop last year at my school. There have been fight videos that shared through AirDrop, and you don't know where the main source comes from. And so you don't know where that video comes from or what happens. So that's the problem. So with Apple devices, if your children are receiving videos and they're being airdropped to them and it's in their phone, there's no proof to say that your child didn't record it or whatever, and your child can be held responsible for having the video on their phone, although they probably wasn't one recording it. It was airdropped to them, and it was saved in a way that they cannot record who sent it to them. So please be careful and tell your children, if y'all airdropping stuff, it is going to look like you did it, and you shouldn't do that. Okay. So I just want to close on that. I'm going to post all of the 15 apps in just a second on the Facebook page. So that way, if you missed a part, it will be there. You can definitely Google is your friend, but please make sure that you're setting parental controls to prevent your children from downloading apps that you have no idea. There are apps that come out every single day from different developers from different countries. There's just like we had the Face app that went viral, and that Face app was from Russia, and Russia was taking that information and had access to everyone's photos. And that was the app that I don't know if you guys remember, but it turned you into an old person. And so everyone started, downloading this app and using this app, and it just went viral too fast. And I was like, this is going viral too fast. There's something wrong with this. And everyone was like, oh, no, B, you crazy. And then sure enough, we find out that it was a developer from Russia, and they are exploiting data. And so we have already had an issue with Russia using American data. So again, it's really important that you know the apps that your children are using. Make sure you have safeguards. And if you have a question about a particular app, let me know. I will definitely Google and find out the answer for you, just if you are unsure. But I'd rather you be safe than sorry. If you have no idea what that app is and what that app does, your child doesn't need to have it. Okay. With that, I love y'all. Have a great day. And I hope this was helpful to y'all.